Hi everyone, my name is Dimitri Josephine and I'm excited to welcome you to this tutorial. Let me introduce myself briefly before we dive into Unreal Engine. I've been working with Unreal Engine for over 4 years, primarily in the field of virtual production. During this time, I discovered how powerful Unreal Engine is for animation. In fact, that realization was one of the reasons I shifted my focus from purely virtual production to animation. Over the years, Unreal Engine's animation capabilities have improved significantly, and it's been exciting to see how much the tool has evolved and what it can offer creators like you. Aside from being an Unreal Engine authorized instructor, I am also the leader of the Unreal Engine Jakarta community chapter. I've dedicated my time to socializing Unreal Engine not just in Jakarta, but across Indonesia and Southeast Asia. Through workshops, speaking engagements, and hands-on training, I've had the opportunity to introduce Unreal Engine to students, professionals, and even government organizations. My work has taken me to various stages and platforms, from academic environments to industry-focused conferences, both in Indonesia and internationally. One of my missions is to make cutting-edge tools like Unreal Engine accessible to more creators, inspiring them to bring their visions to life. So whether you're here as a student, a professional, or someone new to Unreal Engine, this tutorial is for you. Today, I will guide you through the basics of Unreal Engine's animation tools, adding natural camera shakes, using the camera sequencer, and rendering your scene. A perfect starting point to explore Unreal Engine's potential for animation and storytelling. Let's get started. So let's start by opening an existing Unreal Engine project. For this tutorial, I've already set up an environment for you to work with. Once you have your project open, navigate to the content browser. Here, we will locate a character asset. In this case, I'm using a skeletal mesh that's ready for animation. Simply drag and drop it into the viewport to add it to your scene. Because I previously already have a character in the scene, I'm just gonna delete it and then I'm gonna add the new character, and then we can adjust the position of our character using the move, rotate, and scale tools to position it in the scene. You can place it somewhere central or choose a location that works with your setup. Because I want to make my setup over here, so I'm just gonna position my character over here. And there are also a few tools that you can use to adjust your character's position, scale, or rotation. There are a few ways that you can use to adjust the position of your character. You can use this select and translate object, or you can use the rotation tools or the scaling tools. You can scale it, or you can just move it, or you can rotate it however you like. Also, you can use the W, E, and R button. R is for scaling, E is for rotation, and W is to adjust the position. And the other way that you can also adjust the position, rotation, or the scale is by pressing the spacebar button. Here I am pressing the press bar button to change the location or the position or the rotation of my character. So once you have your character ready, let's move on to setting up animation with the sequencer. I already have some objects on my scene, and because we don't need it, I'm just gonna hide it for now so we can get the full view of our scene like this. Okay, so let's create a basic animation for our character. We're gonna give a simple animation for the character. So we start by opening the sequencer. Over here, you can see the sequencer button. And then in Unreal Engine, the sequencer is the tool where we can organize and animate different elements of our scene. So we create a new level sequence by clicking this Add Level Sequence. And then once it's created, we can just type the name, let's say test demo, and then choose the folder where you want to save it. For now, I'll just save it in the content section and then click save. And then we're gonna have this bar. We're gonna see the sequencer bar. And then I'm gonna drag my character to the sequencer timeline. After we drag the character, we can still make some adjustments for the scenes or even the position. It's fine. But I'm already happy with my scene. So I'm just gonna give my character an animation for now. Okay, so usually characters from Unreal Engine already have like a pre-built animation. So whenever you drag it to the sequencer timeline, you would see that they already have the animation. So if you want to use this animation, it's fine. But if you want to make your own animation, is also fine. But because I'm just going to give you the basic ideas of how the animation and the sequencer works, I'm just going to pick one animation from this template. I'm going to pick this one, jogging forward uphill. But when we press play, you will see that the character is actually moving on the same place, on the same location. It's not actually moving forward or moving backward. So I'm just gonna add the first point to the next point of the character. So if you guys see here, there is a transform section. So if we click the transform, you will see that you can adjust the location, the rotation, or even the scale. I'm not gonna play around with the rotation and the scale, but I'm gonna add some location for the first point and then the second point. So first we click the transform key here and you will see there will be red dots. We already give the character the starting point, and then don't forget to drag this. Let's say the character is moving for another 45 seconds, and then we move the position to the here, rotate a bit, and then give another keyframe and try. See, now the character is moving from the first point to the second point, from point A to point B. But if you guys feel that it's too fast, you can just select all the dots and then move it to however you like. I think it's still too fast, so I'm just gonna drag it a bit more. I want the character to look mysterious, so I want it to walk like not too fast but not too slow. And then after you guys are fine with the movement, we can always drag this red line. This red line means the end frame of the timeline. So this is the in, and the green one is the in and the red one is out. You can adjust the FPS here. I usually make animation with 24 FPS. You can also change the time here. Let's say you want to make it 240 seconds. The length of the video, you want to make it like around 240 seconds. You can always change it here. But if you're already fine with the previous one, then it's fine. You don't have to change anything. Now we can see that my character is moving forward, uphill, not too fast, but not too slow. After this, we create a camera. to our scene to capture the animation. Unreal Engine already provides a cine camera actor for creating cinematic shots. So first of all, you can go to these three dashes here, and then you can create a camera here and then click the cine camera actor. I already have a few cameras before, but it's fine. We're going to be using the cine camera actor 2, and then we're going to add the cine camera actor to the sequencer timeline. You can always keyframe its position if you want the camera to move during the animation, or you can just leave the camera here without any movement, whichever you like. It's okay. And then for a more cinematic look, you can adjust the camera's focal length and the aperture settings. This will allow you to control the depth of field and create a cinematic effect. So first, whichever camera that you are using, if you go to the details panel here, you see there is a film back section. You can change it to digital film, super 8 millimeters, super 35 millimeters. You can change it to whichever you want. You can explore and then you can pick what you want. But for now, I'm just going to be using the digital film. You can also adjust the sensor width and the sensor height. I'm just going to use the default, but I might gonna change the sensor width for now. And then focal length. The focal length is similar with the lens that you are using if you are shooting with a real camera. So the default of Unreal Engine's focal length is 11 by 11.88, but you can always change it. Let's say I want to change it to 16, or I want to change it to 24, 35. Maybe I will change it to 24 for now. So we will be focusing on the character, but we can still see the scene around the characters. And then you can also adjust the aperture. The default of Unreal Engine is 2.8, but you can change it to, I don't know, 1.4. It depends. It depends on how do you wanna capture your scene. And then over here with the manual focus distance, you can change the focus of your scene. You can use this color pick button and then tick this one. So if you guys see the focus on this scene, it's still focusing on this area. So the ones that covered with the purple scene is not focused, it's at the background. So if you want to adjust the focus, you can always play around on this parameter. Let's say like this. So we can see that the focus is on the character right now. So if we try to play the sequencer, there is a movement, but there is no camera movement. Because I want to make something cinematic, I want the character to look mysterious. I'm just gonna lower down the camera speed a bit, and then I'm gonna put the camera over here. So when the character is moving forward, it's gonna look like we're hiding behind the bush, like this. But I don't like a scene where the camera is not moving at all. So for now, I'm gonna add a camera shake so we can get more natural movement for the camera. To give your shot a more dynamic and natural feel, we can add a camera shake effect. So first, you can select your cine camera actor in the sequencer, and then right-click on the camera track in the sequencer timeline, and then choose Track, Camera Shake. So after adding the camera shake track, you can click the drop-down under the camera shake class, And you can choose a pre-existing shake blueprint, or you can create a new one. Because I already have my camera shake blueprint, I'm just gonna use it. You can see now my camera is shaking a bit to give it more natural movement. And if you want to adjust the intensity and the duration, you can also change it. You can always go back to the cam shake blueprint. You can fine tune the camera shake effect by adjusting the amplitude, frequency, and the duration directly in the properties of the camera shake track. So you can see there is a location amplitude multiplier and then the location frequency multiplier. Let's say I want to change it to 0.5 and then 1.5. And then with the rotation, I want to change it to 1 and then frequency multiplier 2. And then don't forget to set the timing. If you want the camera shake to last around 1 second, you can type 1 over here. But if you want the camera shake to move indefinitely, you can change it to 0. And don't forget to compile. And then go back to your sequencer. And then now you have a different camera shake. But if you are shaking the camera and you're staying at one position, it's also gonna look weird. So I'm gonna give a camera movement to the camera. So the camera is moving from point A to point B. So first, I'm gonna go back to the transform key, and then don't forget to put this bar in the beginning of the timeline, and then I'm gonna click transform here, and then I'm gonna move the bar, then I'm gonna move the camera, let's say over here, and click the transform button again, and then let's try. So it's gonna look like we're hiding behind the bush and then we're following the character. So for a subtle, natural handheld look, you can use lower values for amplitude and frequency. So if you're going for a dramatic effect like an earthquake or an explosion, you can increase the value. So it depends on what you are trying to achieve. You can always play around and you can always explore. So with the camera shake added, your shot now has a more immersive, like live feel. And then we can move to the rendering of the final sequence. So rendering the scene is the final step to bringing your animation to life. Unreal Engine has a powerful movie render queue that makes the process easy. So to begin, go to the sequencer and click on the render button. This is the render button. And then you can choose, there are two types of rendering. You can choose the movie render queue or the movie scene capture. I'm just going to use the movie render queue for now. And then you can adjust your setting. Click the unsafe config, and then here you can change the render setting. So I recommend rendering it at 1920 times 1080 for standard HD resolution, and you can always adjust the frame rate, but for this tutorial we'll stick with 24 FPS because I usually render with 24 FPS. And then you can choose the final destination for the output. Where do you want to save it? Let's say I want to save it in the pictures and then the test render folder. Then I'm going to select the folder. I'm going to change the JPEG sequence to PNG sequence and then anti-aliasing. I'm going to change the sample count And then after that, you choose the output. And don't forget to tick the overhead anti-aliasing. So once you are happy with your scene, you can click the render local and then just wait for Unreal Engine to rendering your scene. So now that the rendering is done, you have your final animation ready to share. So after you finish rendering, you can check your rendered scene. Here I haven't put it in the editing software yet, but I can see that um, the rendering is exactly like what I rendered in Unreal Engine. So the camera movement and the lighting and the characters and everything, it's exactly like what I expected. So I'm gonna put it in the editing software for now so I can see what it looks like after I rendered the scene. Congratulations, you've successfully created a simple animation, added a cinematic camera sequence with dynamic shake, and rendered your scene. This is just the beginning of what you can do in Unreal Engine. Feel free to experiment with more advanced animations, camera techniques, and rendering settings to push your projects even further. I hope this tutorial was helpful for you.